Tonight, we are jumping right into one of the most intense and pivotal stories ever told, the Last Supper, straight from Luke chapter 22. This is so much more than just a meal. It's a story that has everything: betrayal, a radical new promise, and an event that is about to change the world forever. You really have to understand, this is no ordinary dinner. The air in this room is thick with meaning. Every look, every word, every action is loaded. You've got profound love and loyalty sitting at the exact same table as deep-seated fear and treachery. It's an absolutely incredible scene. But before we can even really understand what happens inside that room, we have to take a step outside. Because our story, well, it actually begins in the shadows, where a dark conspiracy is already well underway. So, let's set the scene. We're in Jerusalem, and it's Passover. This is the biggest, most important religious festival of the entire year. The city is absolutely packed, overflowing with people, and the energy is just electric. Tensions are incredibly high. And right there, that's the central conflict. The religious leaders, the powers that be, they see Jesus as a major threat. He has to go. But they're in a real bind because he's incredibly popular with the people. If they move on him in public, they risk a full-blown riot. So what do? They need another way, a quieter way. And just like that, the solution to their problem basically falls right into their laps. And it comes from the last place anyone would ever expect, from inside Jesus' own tight-knit group. Judas Iscariot, one of the 12, one of his own guys, goes straight to them. He offers them the one thing they desperately need, a way to grab Jesus when the crowds aren't around. Okay, so you've got this secret plot simmering in the background. Now the camera pans back to Jesus. And what's wild is that he seems to know exactly what's going on. But instead of panicking, he starts to arrange the preparations for this fateful Passover meal himself. So he pulls aside two of his most trusted friends, Peter and John, and gives them a mission. But he doesn't just tell them, hey, go rent a room. No, the instructions he gives them are, well, they're bizarre. They're incredibly specific. I mean, seriously, this sounds like something straight out of a spy movie, right? Go into the city and look for a man carrying a jar of water. Now that little detail is key, because carrying water was typically a woman's job, so a man doing it would have stood out immediately. It's a secret sign. This whole thing shows us that Jesus is completely in control of the events that are about to happen. And what do you know, Peter and John head into the city and everything unfolds step by step exactly the way Jesus said it would. This is so important. It's telling us that none of this is happening by accident. The stage is being set with a kind of supernatural precision. All right, so now we're finally in the room. The meal is ready, and this is the moment where an ancient tradition, the Passover, is about to be transformed into something brand new, something that will echo for thousands of years. Jesus kicks things off with this statement that is just so heavy and so moving. He knows the agony that's coming for him, the arrest, the torture, the cross. And yet, he says he has eagerly desired this one last moment, this meal with his friends. Just think about that for a second. And here, he does something absolutely revolutionary. He takes these two simple things they've seen 1,000 times at Passover, bread and wine, and he gives them a completely new meaning. He holds up the bread and says, "This is my body." He takes the cup and says, "This is my blood of a new covenant." A covenant is like a sacred, unbreakable contract. He's launching a whole new era in the relationship between God and humanity, right there at the dinner table. But then, wham, the mood just shatters. Right on the heels of this deeply sacred moment, the ugly reality of what's been hiding in the shadows comes crashing into the light. Can you just imagine the shock that rips through that room? One minute, you're taking part in this profound new ritual. The next, Jesus drops this bombshell. The traitor isn't some soldier outside the city walls. He's in here, with us. His hand is literally on the same table. I mean, it must have been instant chaos. A wave of paranoia just washes over them. They're all looking at each other, right? Questioning everything. Is it you? It's not me, is it? The trust in that room just completely evaporates. And then we get one of the most painfully human and kind of cringy moments in the whole story. So Jesus has just announced this new covenant and revealed there's a traitor in their midst. And what do next? They start arguing about which one of them is the greatest. It is absolutely stunning. It just goes to show how completely they are failing to grasp what's really happening. So Jesus cuts right through their petty argument, and he zeroes in on Simon Peter. He gives him this chilling warning. He says Satan wants to sift all of you as wheat, to shake you up so violently that your faith is tested down to its very core. It's a terrifying image. But then he adds, "But I have prayed for you, Simon." He knows Peter, the group's unofficial leader, is about to be tested like never before. And you get this incredible contrast. Peter, with all the confidence in the world, puffs out his chest. "Lord, I'm ready. Prison, death, whatever it takes, I'm with you." And he really means it. But Jesus knows him better than he knows himself, and he counters with this devastatingly precise prophecy. "Peter, before the rooster crows tomorrow morning, you will deny you even know me 3 separate times." Wow. The evening is winding down, but there's one last piece of business. And honestly, it might be the most confusing and unsettling exchange of the entire night. It leaves everybody completely bewildered. This is a complete 180 from everything he's taught them before. Remember how he used to send them out with nothing, telling them to rely on the kindness of others? Well, not anymore. Now it's grab your wallet, pack a bag, and if you don't have a sword, seal your jacket and buy one. This signals a massive, dangerous shift. The game has changed. But why? He's not calling for a rebellion. It's about fulfilling prophecy. He explains that it's written that he will be numbered with the transgressors. Basically, he's about to be treated like a common criminal. And their association with him, well, it's going to make them look like his gang of outlaws. And the disciples, taking him completely literally, as they so often do, look around, they do a quick inventory and say, "Look, Lord, here are 2 swords. Just 2. Not exactly an arsenal to take on the Roman Empire, you know?" And Jesus' reply is so abrupt, so final. "That's enough." But what does that even mean? Is he saying, "Yep, 2 swords are plenty"? Or is it more of a sigh, like, "Okay, that's enough of this conversation. You don't get it"? The ambiguity just hangs there in the air, a perfect cliffhanger to this unbelievably tense night. And so we're left with this whirlwind of contradictions. A sacred promise made in the shadow of betrayal. A lesson on servant leadership right in the middle of a fight over who's the greatest. And a command to buy swords from a man of peace. All of this just forces us to ask that big question. Why? Why the swords? And what was truly about to happen next?